This is Dude to Bet Sports.
What is up, everybody? Back for another Dudes Who Bet Sports. This week, we got a lot to talk about, a lot of games to cover. I want to talk about some other sports as well at the end, Papa Dude. So, are you ready to go? Are you ready to? Boy, this is going to be these last 2 weeks are going to be fun. Plus the championship week, isn't it?
Oh, it's coming down to the nitty gritty in so many conferences. We're going to go over the playoff scenario, the scenario to get into the championship games and the tiebreakers and all of that is so nuts that I'll have to go to another website to read it because I can't remember all of the scenarios in a couple of these conferences. A couple of them are pretty simple, but then the rest of them are just nuts. And it's fascinating what it's come down to. We got to talk about Lane Kiffin's comment about you're better off not being in the SEC championship game.
Yeah.
When you're in the situation Ole Miss is in, which is absolutely true. There's so much. But before we get into that, I want to talk about something I did I never thought I would ever do in my life.
Okay.
Tuesday night, I went to Music Bingo.
See, I don't know what this is.
Okay. Well, I was terrible at it. Mm-hmm. There was 5 of us. And what it is, your bingo cards this was Music Bingo with a movie theme, which means they were going to play songs that were in movies.
Okay.
Yeah. And the movies were all, classic movies, but you know me, I'm not a movie guy.
Right. Yeah. No.
I mean, but I'd heard of the movies and I had seen some of them. So they would play a song and then you would have to try to figure out what movie that song was in.
Okay. Yeah.
So luckily at our table, and I wish she was listening today, this gal, she should go on that song, on that show called Name That Tune.
Knew them all.
I'm serious. They would play 3 notes of this song, and she knew the song immediately. And then 10, 15 seconds later, she knew the movie. So she not only knew every song, she knew every movie that the song was in.
That sounds fun, though.
It was very much fun. It wouldn't have been if she hadn't been at the table.
Right. Yeah.
Well, I can't say that. Some people did. But anyway, every single one of us got a bingo.
There you go.
Because of her.
Where was this at?
This was a place called Wire Road. It's a brewery in Springfield.
Okay. I've never heard of
it. They have a brewery. That's right, Shoddy. One guy there had Shazam on the phone, which I have no idea what that is. But anyway, it's they brew beer, and I think they brew some wine as well. It's a pretty neat place. And then December 17th, it's Music Bingo again, and the theme will be Christmas songs.
Okay.
I might be able to do a little bit better on those, but anyway, it was a lot of fun. I just thought I had to mention it.
Well, that sounds like a lot of fun for sure. That's the thing. When last time I was at trivia, I had somebody with us that knew every answer, so it was nice. It was a table, and it was just regular trivia, and so that was kind of fun. We won, but it's like, you won, but I didn't answer anything. So
she was amazing. I mean, not only that, she knew every word to the songs as well.
Well, I mean, I probably could if songs I like, I know them word for word for sure.
Yeah,
but it's just comparing or like coupling them with the movies, that would be tough. Like there's a song I really like that's from the new it's not so new now, but the latest Top Gun movie, right? Top Gun Maverick. And I heard the song the other day. We were at a restaurant or something, and I said, where is that from? And I never could. I had to look it up finally. So that's where I would really struggle with. Yeah.
Well, some of these songs too, I can't believe they were in that certain movie. And Christmas Vacation, I've seen that 5 million times. Right?
Yep.
And they played a song from it, and I didn't realize that was in that movie that I'd seen that many times.
Right.
Yeah.
So, well, I mean, that, like I said, that would have been the hardest part of it, no doubt.
Oh, it was. But it was so much fun. And I never get a bingo. Never. Never.
Yeah.
But I did. So then they give away little prizes. When you get a bingo, you go up and you give them your card, and they give you and it's totally free. Now, if you want to buy more than one card, you give a donation to something to get the other card, but the first card's free.
Right.
And halfway, they play 2 rounds, and halfway through the first round, they make it to where you have to have 2 bingos.
Right.
But the prizes are, they're decent. Lady at our table won a big, nice mug. So anyway, it was a lot of fun.
Christmas Vacation has to be top 3 Christmas movies
No
of all time. I would think so.
No doubt.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. I have to watch it every year.
Yeah.
You just have to.
Yep. It definitely, it may be number 1. I don't think it may be. I think it is number 1. I think it's number 1 without any doubt. So
Yeah, it's a classic.
All right, well, let's get to
Okay.
it. We got a lot to talk about today. I'm going to go ahead and put the games up on the screen now. Huge weekend of college football. Kind of a quiet weekend in some ways, but I think there's some sneaky ones as well. So let's get it going. Let's start Friday night, a game that it does involve ranked team, but I don't really think it really matters what happens in this one as far as the big picture. But UNLV, a 7.5-point favorite, they go on the road to take on San Jose State. Who you got?
Well, San Jose State, I think, gave it all they had last week against Boise. They got ahead. They were dominating them. I texted you and said Boise's in big trouble, and they were. And then all of a sudden, Boise State said, okay, that's enough of this crap, and they just beat the snot out of them. So I don't think they got enough left. UNLV's shaky, but I think they're good enough to go in there and beat a San Jose State team that doesn't have a lot to play for. I think they'll be down a little bit. So give me the running Rebs and the points.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're definitely right on this one. I went with UNLV as well to get this thing started, and I think at the end of the day, San Jose State had some chances, but it kind of felt like they jumped on Boise, and then when Boise got going, they kind of got going big and dominated the second half of that game. And I think UNLV can go ahead and do more of the same. And like you said, I don't think they'll be quite as up. So give me UNLV. All right, now we get to the big one. We do the biggest one first because it's going to be at 11 a.m. on Saturday. This is the one everybody's going to be pointing at, looking at, everything like that. Indiana, number 5 now in the nation at 10-0, going up against Ohio State, number 2 at 9-1. It's Ohio State that's a 13.5-point favorite. How do you see this one playing out?
Well, a couple of things. You mentioned, I think, last week that you said, okay, how many of Ohio State's players is really thinking they're going to have any trouble with Indiana?
Mm-hmm.
And because it's Indiana, and it's just they're just a novelty kind of. It's just no one. I mean, if you thought Indiana was going to be 10-0 when this season started, you could have made a lot of money in Vegas. If you had them with a winning record at this time of the season, you probably could have. So they've come out of nowhere. We also talked about they needed to lock up their coach, which they did. They gave him an 8-year contract worth over $64 million, something like that. So they probably got a big buyout too. So they do what everybody else does. They've locked up a guy who's had one season, So anyway, I guess I would have done the same thing if I was them. Although I didn't realize he's pretty old. He's not young. I did not realize that till I got to digging into it. Anyway, I just don't think Indiana's got the players, got enough. I think the line of scrimmage is going to be a problem for them. That's where these teams like Ohio State usually can whip you. When you're an upstart team like Indiana, the skilled people for the Hoosiers are pretty good, but I don't think they can match them up front. I think this line's about right, and it could be worse. So I'm going to go with Ohio State to cover.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the big question mark at the game, the big key to the game. If you watched Indiana against Michigan a couple of weeks ago, Michigan dominated the line of scrimmage. Now, the difference is between Michigan and Ohio State, Michigan has nobody to take advantage of that domination on the line of scrimmage once it happens. But so they still couldn't move the ball enough to win. They didn't have a quarterback, but Ohio State's certainly going to do that. So if Ohio State can kind of beat Indiana up front, then they're going to be able to move the ball and score some points. And then on the flip side, Michigan really shut down Indiana,
Yeah,
especially in the second half. Indiana couldn't do much. And if Ohio State can dominate that line of scrimmage like that, they will shut them down, and this will probably get lopsided. I have to think that's going to happen. I just don't see a world where up front Indiana is ready to match up with Ohio State. They really weren't ready to match up with Michigan either. And I think when you look at the other games, the other teams, I should say, they played a lot of teams that the line of scrimmage isn't a huge issue for them. You know, the Washingtons and the Nebraskas of the world, you can match up with them. This is a different animal. I think it's Ohio State pretty easily in this one. I think it's going to be like 30-13 type of game.
It could. It may be worse. And I don't want to knock Indiana at all. I think they're a great story, but they haven't played anybody.
No,
and that's the kicker here. They've taken advantage of the portal. Yep. They got players in there. The coaching staff has done a fantastic job. They beat those teams. All they can do is play their schedule.
Yeah.
And they did, and they beat them. And you got to give them credit because no Indiana team has done this. So you have to give them a lot of credit. But now they're coming up against a different animal. Ohio State's going to have to help them, I think.
And just to review, they played Florida International, Western Illinois, UCLA, Charlotte, Maryland, Northwestern, Nebraska, Washington, Michigan State, and then that Michigan game. So again, those first 9 games, you didn't really have to worry about facing a mammoth offensive or defensive line. You probably faced guys that were similar to you, and then you were able to block them up, and then your skill people, like you said at the beginning, they're very good for Indiana. Yeah. They've done a very good job getting guys that could really play. Right. And so the matchups worked out. The Michigan game was the first time you looked at it and said, yeah, okay, they do have the skill guys, but the quarterback has no time. The running back has no holes to run through. All of a sudden they can't move the ball. Mm-hmm. I think they'll have some success, but I don't see how, drive in, drive out, they're going to be able to have that kind of success against Ohio State.
Right. And Ohio State's offensive line is better than Michigan's. And so Michigan's defensive line held Indiana.
Yeah.
Well, Ohio State's defensive front's going to be as good. Plus, they'll have an offensive line that's better than Michigan's and an offense that's so much better than Michigan's.
Yeah.
And that's going to be the difference more than likely. The winner of this game, Oregon is already in the championship game. It doesn't matter. And the winner of this one is in, unless they got to win the next week. They have to win next week.
Yeah, right.
So whoever wins this, if they win next week, is in. Let's see here. Unless Ohio State loses to Michigan,
right,
then Penn State jumps them,
provided
they beat Indiana. Okay,
right,
provided that they win that game. And Indiana. If Indiana beats Ohio State, they're in, even if they lose to Purdue.
Even they lose to Purdue. Yep.
So if Indiana wins, they're in.
Yep.
If Ohio State wins and loses to Michigan, then you have an issue. And that's because Ohio State has 2 losses. They'll have 2 conference losses. So it's really simple. Penn State's on the outside looking in this, really.
Yep. I think realistically, Ohio State's going to beat Michigan this year. If they don't, it's going to be a riot there, no matter what happens.
Well, I think you'll get fired.
And I think realistically, we are looking at number 1 Oregon versus number 2 Ohio State for the Big Ten championship game.
I think so too.
So that would be unbelievable championship game if that happens. Yeah. All right, let's move on. Some of these I think are a little tricky. This isn't really one of them. Wake Forest goes on the road to take on Miami. Miami's a 24-point favorite, trying to bounce back. What do you think about this one?
Well, the other thing is the points. Miami has a tendency not to blow people out.
Mm-hmm.
Wake plays hard. They don't have the talent. You got to think Miami's had a week off to get over that loss. You got to think they're going to come out and blow the doors off of Wake. So I'd be afraid to take Wake plus 24 in this one. Now, if it was at Wake Forest, maybe, but
I agree.
yeah,
I got Miami in this one. I don't think Wake's very good. I think that's the other big point of it. Sometimes, well, I shouldn't say sometimes, but like the last 3-4 years, it seems like Wake's been pretty decent and they're tough out. I don't really think of them like that this year.
Yeah.
This one and the
Mhm.
next one, I think, could be dangerous. Let's go to this one first. Ole Miss on the road taking on Florida. Florida picks up a nice win last week against LSU, but Ole Miss is a 10-point favorite here. Now, Ole Miss was went on the road and played very well,
Yes,
except for the loss at LSU.
right.
This is interesting, though. Florida, they've been a little better the second half of the season. How do you see this one going down?
They've been a lot better.
Yeah.
They're getting better. And they have athletes. And it's the pressure that's got to be on Ole Miss.
Yep.
And Lane Kiffin made a comment this week that in the scenario right now for a 2-loss SEC team like he's got, it's better off not getting in to the SEC championship game.
Yeah.
Because you run the risk of getting beat and you got 3 losses and you're probably not going to get in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
And then some of these idiots go back and say, yeah, but it's so prestigious to win the SEC championship. Okay, so you want to win that and the playoffs don't mean anything? It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard of. He
Right.
made a very good statement.
Mm-hmm.
For Mississippi, this is their best chance to get in the playoffs is to win your last 2 games.
Yeah.
And I see no way they're not in.
Right.
They went out and they've got this one and they got Mississippi State. So this is the big one for them. So the pressure is on them. That's the key. Can they handle the pressure? They've had a tendency every once in a while to struggle on offense,
Mm-hmm.
but they have played extremely well the last 2 weeks. And I mean, I can't get over how they just thrashed Georgia. I don't think Florida beats them. You got to look at the points.
Mm-hmm.
Can Florida hold them to 10? I think it's going to be close for a long time, but I think they're going to win by 14. So I'm going to go Ole Miss to cover.
Yeah, I think you better take Ole Miss to cover in this game, honestly. I think Florida's still a little bit I'm not going to call them a fraud because they're 5-5. It's not like anybody's thinking they're great or anything, but I don't think they're good enough to match up with Ole Miss. I really don't. That LSU situation is kind of a mess. They're in shambles a little bit. But when you saw Florida take on Georgia, they played them close for a while, then they kind of got blown out. They went to Texas and Texas just murdered them. I think Ole Miss, and of course they didn't have their quarterback at Texas. That's a big difference.
That's
but
right.
I just think Ole Miss is more talented. I think they'll go in there and beat them. So yeah, I'm with you. I think Ole Miss covers in this one. This one I'm not quite sold on. SMU goes on the road to take on Virginia. They are an up and down team, but they have beat some decent teams this year for sure. SMU, I think they're starting to feel the pressure a little bit. SMU a 10-point favorite in this one. Who you got?
I'm with you. They almost got it last week. That was
they were shaky in that game.
They were very shaky.
Yeah.
I think didn't they get a late turnout over to seal that game?
Yes.
Well,
I think it was actually a stop on 4th down that sealed it. But same difference, yeah.
And then they went down and put it away, like good teams do, and they are good.
Yeah.
This one would scare me to death. Now the thing about them, they're in the championship game unless they lose the last 2. Mm-hmm. But that's not the goal for them right now. They want to make the playoffs, and if they lose this game, they're not going to make the playoffs unless they win the championship game.
Yeah.
So the pressure is really on them. They cannot lose. They got to get to the ACC championship game and win it. So to get there, they got to go through Virginia. It's just going to depend on, do they turn it over? Do they help them a little bit? The thing with SMU, they're a little suspect defensively. And when you go on the road, I think I'm going to take Virginia, but I think SMU is going to eke it out.
I took Virginia in the points in here as well. I think it's going to be a scary game for SMU, but I do think Virginia's going to cover this. I just kind of looked at some of the other games that they had at home. Like Louisville came into Virginia. It was only a 4-point win.
Mhm.
And it's like, well, that would cover. And
Yep.
Louisville, SMU, I think they're fairly similar.
Similar. Mhm.
This is a team that did go to Pittsburgh and win. Now they last week against Notre Dame, they didn't really put up much of a fight. But who's better, Notre Dame or SMU? Probably Notre Dame. We're back home here. Virginia, the spoiler. I think Virginia's got a shot to upset. At the end of the day, I did not pick them to win. I do pick them to cover. So I think we're both on the same boat here with that.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a toughie for the Mustangs.
I do too. I almost picked Virginia outright, but I don't think Virginia's good enough to.
No, I don't either. I agree with you totally.
Yeah. All right, let's keep going here. Illinois goes on the road to take on Rutgers. Illinois, a 1-point favorite. Rutgers at one time looked good, and then they looked done, and now they look good again.
Yeah.
Illinois, every game's a little bit of a struggle for them, one way or the other. So who you got in this one?
Rutgers was 4-0. Then they lost 4 in a row, and you buried them, like you said.
Yeah, you thought not only did they lose, they were like awful. Like the games were terrible. Yeah,
I think they beat Nebraska, didn't they?
Well, yeah, but come on.
Well,
that
I know.
matter to
Still,
me.
who was it? Did it beat Minnesota? I think it was.
Yes.
And Minnesota was playing better.
Yeah, their last 2 wins were Minnesota, and then they went to Maryland on the road and beat Maryland. Yeah, they did not beat Nebraska, but where Nebraska started the losing streak. But they beat Washington, they beat Virginia Tech. They had some nice wins. You think this would be a good team? Then they had 4 just brutal losses.
Yeah,
and now they're back with 2 more wins.
They're well coached. Guys always done a good job there. They're playing for a pretty good bowl game.
Yep.
They win the last 2. They get to 8 wins. That's a pretty good bowl game. I had Illinois last week in the points, and they took care of Michigan State after kind of a shaky beginning, but they blew them out. I like them. I don't think they're great. Their quarterback is gritty as hell. I like their coach. I got to take them. 1 point, that's all you're giving me. I got to take them. Now, if it was 4 or 5, maybe not. But 1, I think they're going to beat them.
Yeah.
I can tell you don't think that.
No, I do. No.
Oh, okay.
I think Rutgers. I thought Rutgers was going to be a pretty good team until that 4-game losing streak. And it wasn't the losing streak. It's that they were getting blown out of games. And so I'm kind of back on them. I'm back on them again.
On Rutgers?
On Rutgers, yeah.
So you're taking Rutgers.
Oh, yeah. You took Illinois. I took Rutgers. Yeah.
Do you realize if Illinois wins this game, they have Northwestern next week?
Right.
They have a shot at a 9-win season.
And I don't think they're a 9-win type of team. So I
don't
think
either, but they could.
They could. Yeah. Yeah.
That's a pretty good accomplishment.
I think this is the type of game Rutgers, they'll win. I just think they'll beat them.
I'm going with the Fighting Illini.
All right. We're split on that one. Massachusetts and Georgia. You going with UMass to pull the upset?
No, I don't. I just don't think UMass has got the horses in this one. So
No, I think it's going to be a little bit of a mismatch.
I think this could be a mismatch.
And then also UTEP goes to Tennessee. Will the Miners be able to pull off an upset?
I might take the points with the Miners. I don't think Tennessee can beat anybody that bad.
I think they'll beat UTEP that bad. Give me Tennessee and Georgia, both those games, obviously. All right, let's keep going here. We'll go to another one that it seems like this shouldn't be much. Kentucky goes on the road to take on Texas. Texas 20.5-point favorite here. Who you got?
Yeah, I don't think Kentucky can score near enough points to win. I think Texas covers.
I do too.
I don't think Kentucky can play any closer than 31-10.
Yeah,
and that's a cover. So
I think if Texas was going to get beat by somebody other than A&M next week, it would have been last week. They kind of played a type of game where you could get beat on the road against Arkansas, and Arkansas just didn't have the offense. Now you're back home. You're another team that just cannot move the ball. I think this will be a pretty easy win. Next week, we'll see. That'll be very interesting to see what that line
I will say this, and we've said it a lot. I don't think Texas has got the quarterback that can get through these playoffs.
No.
They didn't do much last week against Arkansas. And I got to give Arkansas credit. They played really well.
They did, but
their tail ends off. But
they did. Yep.
They couldn't generate enough offense to put any pressure on Texas, but Texas couldn't pull away from them.
Yep.
And I just don't think yours is very good. I never have.
So real quick before we move on, because I agree with the comment, Kevin B says Texas wildly overrated the playoff rankings. That resume is woof. Okay, so here's their wins, and I have went back to this a lot. Colorado State, obviously that whatever. At Michigan, they're horrible as we've known. UTSA, whatever. Louisiana Monroe, whatever.
No good.
Mississippi State. They're even worse than Oklahoma. Guess what? Oklahoma was the next win. That doesn't mean anything. They got spanked, really dominated by Georgia. Georgia goes in there and turns the ball over 100 times and still beats them double digits.
At home.
And then you look up and Georgia's not that good.
No.
Like they're not dominant Georgia. They're good. They still have a great shot, I think, to win it all, but they're not great. So they have nothing on the resume that stands out. They go on the road to Vanderbilt and they win by 3. Well, I mean, give them credit. Vanderbilt's not awful. They play Florida when Florida has no quarterback.
Aaron, that's probably the second best team they've played.
Yes, that's what I'm going to get at here.
Yeah,
they played Florida with no quarterback.
Right.
Florida's quarterback was out. And then the game at Arkansas.
So
Arkansas or Vanderbilt is their best win.
Yeah.
It may, or you want to say Michigan. I would say Michigan, Vanderbilt, Arkansas. Those 3 are probably right there together, I would think. I'm trying to think on a neutral field. I mean, on a neutral field, maybe Michigan. God, that'd be tough.
I don't think Michigan could beat them.
Yeah, no.
But okay, Michigan's 5-5.
Yeah.
Arkansas's 5-5.
Right.
Vandy's 6-4.
Yeah.
Those are their best wins.
Right.
Vandy may be the only team with a winning record
by the end of this. Yeah. Well, yeah. I think you're right.
Colorado State does, but
I don't worry. I don't count that. And then you're going to Kentucky losing record, and then the game at A&M. So
yeah,
when you look at this, it's going to be like, wow, they really lucked out.
They did. We talked about that before the season ever started. But you got to give them credit. They've taken advantage of it. But the point we're trying to make is, and I think a lot of people agree, they haven't really beat anybody.
So I want to bring this up as well, and I totally agree. Rob White said they'd be 10-0 with Indiana.
Oh, absolutely.
But here's the difference between how they're going to treat Indiana, and at least what I project, how they're going to treat Indiana and how they're going to treat Texas. Okay, let's pretend A&M beats Texas and Texas finishes 10-2. And then let's pretend Indiana gets beat like we think, like say 30-10 this week.
And win next week.
In a game where anybody that watches it goes, you know what? They're not very good.
Right.
Texas at 10-2 is a lock to be in.
Oh, there's no question.
Indiana at 11-1. If they get blown out this week, I think it's shaky. I think some people believe that they're automatically in at 11-1. I don't necessarily say that.
No, I don't either.
So I think that's the difference. Texas can get in without beating anybody.
That's right.
They don't even have to beat Texas A&M, and they're going to put Texas in at 10-2.
There's no question.
So I agree with Rob, and he's agreeing with us as well. Texas gets treated and gets looked at as this grand team. They're not. And neither is Indiana. I'm not making a case for Indiana. Don't get me wrong, but that's just.
But that's going to happen. I was just going to say Texas is in right now.
Yep.
If they win this week.
Yeah. And this is true, and this gets back to why I think the playoffs are going to be great.
Oh,
there are teams every year like a Texas, like an Indiana, maybe different names there, but teams that like you watch and go, yeah, they built up a lot of wins. They're not that great, but then they kind of are frauds and they get in to something they shouldn't. This year, if you're a fraud, you're going to get beat, and you're going to get beat early. So, yeah. All right, just a little sideways there as we kind of doing that.
The other thing is too, Aaron, in the old format with only 4 teams, these teams wouldn't get a chance to even show themselves.
Well, that's exactly right. So if
Yeah.
we think Texas is overrated and they say
Yeah.
they get the 6 seed or 5 seed, or say I don't think they're going to win the SEC. So say they're 5 or 6. Well, somebody down there could jump up there and get them out of there and beat them.
Mm-hmm.
And if they don't, then we were wrong. So
Yeah.
that's the way to look at it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know what? That's a great thing. The games are going to be played on the field instead of a bunch of people thinking,
That's
"Oh,
right.
well, this team's better than this team." You know.
Yep.
So, anyway, all right. Let's keep it going. Penn State on the road now. Speaking of teams that might be frauds, Penn State goes on the road now to take on Minnesota. 11.5 point favorites for the Nittany Lions. What do you think about this one?
Yeah, this is and again, I don't want to knock these teams that are 9-1 because I would give anything to be 9-1. And it doesn't matter who you play.
That's right.
You didn't draw the schedule. You didn't.
That's right.
This is just how it came out, and they've won every game, but the one team is pretty good on their schedule. Why aren't we comparing Texas to Penn State? You know?
Yeah, right.
The one good team on Texas's schedule, they lost, and the one good team on Penn State's schedule, they lost.
Mhm.
Yet everybody's on Penn State's ass, but they're not on Texas's, and I don't get that. So, but I think your point's proven.
Yeah.
11.5, a lot of points for a team that can't score. God, Minnesota's hard to figure out. They get going there pretty good, and then they lose. Can't you see them putting up a fight in this game?
No,
I can.
I don't know. I guess it's
I'm
at
not
home.
taking Penn State.
I'm taking Penn. I'm taking Penn.
I'll stay away from this one.
Okay, that's fair. And I think 11.5 is a number that's tricky. I mean, if we look up at the end of this game and it's 30-20, well, I'm not going to be shocked.
Yeah.
But I think Penn State will shut them down. There it is right there. I think
It is good.
a defense like Penn State, when they only have to worry about stopping the run, I think they'll be really, really
That's
good.
true. Yeah.
And I think that's going to be the difference. Now, when Penn State has to defend the pass, it's going to open some things up. But against a team like Minnesota, I think Penn State will go get them. So I'm with Penn State. Okay, well, bad news finally for the Mormons out at BYU. They suffer their first loss. Kansas goes to BYU and beats them. And like you predicted, you thought Arizona State, even if BYU was to win that game, Arizona State would be the favorites in this one this week. And they are. Arizona State, a 3-point favorite against BYU. All right. What do you think about this one? This has got major implications here for the Big 12.
Well, it is. This is huge. The Big 12 is so crazy that even if we started reading this scenario, no one would understand it.
Right.
Unless certain things happen. The winner of this game is definitely in the driver's seat to get into the Big 12 championship game.
Mhm.
Then trying to figure out the other team is just haywire. I mean,
The way I kind of understand it, Colorado and Arizona State do control their own.
They
destiny.
do. They do. So that's the easy scenario.
Mhm.
Arizona State went out, Colorado went out, and that's it. There's no argument anywhere else.
And BYU as well. They if they win out,
Yeah,
they're
they
in.
went out. So, am I off the bandwagon? Yes.
You're off
And
of it.
I would not have picked BYU in this game anyway, even if they were undefeated.
Okay.
Especially after what Arizona State did to Kansas State
Yep.
in Manhattan last week. That
Yep.
was impressive.
Okay.
And here's another guy that's done a tremendous job at Arizona State. Very young, Kenny Dillingham. I think he might have even played there. But golly, they were picked at the bottom of the Big 12, and they're 8-2, and they're solid. I've seen them play a couple times, not a whole lot, not the whole game, but bits and pieces of them, and they're solid. BYU had some bad luck last week, and they were due to lose a game like that when they've won so many on the other ways, and it caught up with them, and that's what happens when you're not great. No, I like the Sun Devils. I don't think BYU can go into the desert and beat them.
Nope, I don't either. I like Arizona State as well. And how weird is it going to be if it is indeed Arizona State versus Colorado for the Big 12 championship game? How strange is it to even say that? The one thing I will tell you when you think you got the Big 12 figured out, that's when
Yeah.
it gets crazy. So don't think that that's automatic, but that would be a little bit nuts. But yeah, I'm with you. I'm going to go Arizona State in this one as well. Speaking of Colorado, okay, big challenge here. Arrowhead Stadium for this one. Colorado at Kansas. Colorado 3-point favorite here. However, the Jayhawks, inexplicably terrible to start this year.
Mhm.
They're starting to look like the team everybody thought they might be right
Mhm.
now. They're getting good, but they're underdogs. What do you think here?
Great coaching job by their coach. Well, you could say, how could you say they're great?
Yeah.
Just to keep them together
Yep.
after the expectations they had to start the season, and then they go 2-6, and they lost games they were ahead in almost every game. And they lost, and man, it's hard to keep the team together, especially when you're at Kansas and basketball season starts and all the enthusiasm is gone. To keep them together and to come back and win the last two games. And this was after they lost a heartbreaker to their rivals, K-State. They played them very close, could have won that game, didn't win it.
Mm-hmm.
And to come back and then beat Iowa State and go on the road and beat BYU, it's a really good coaching job.
Yep.
Now, I don't like Colorado. I don't like the way Dion acts. But when I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I am super impressed with them.
Yep.
Their offense is tough.
Yep.
I don't think Kansas got enough to beat them. I really don't. I hope they do. I think they'll give it everything they got. I think Colorado's too good. I don't think they're going to choke. Now, there's another team. They haven't really played anybody.
No.
Doesn't matter. I'm going to go Colorado in the points.
Yeah, I've went back and forth on this one for a while. Colorado's been pretty impressive on the road this year.
Yes,
if you want to look, now they did lose at Nebraska. I think if they played Nebraska again, they'd beat them right now. But they went to Colorado State and won. They went to Central Florida and won. They went to Arizona and won. They went in a game I thought they would lose. They went to Texas Tech.
And they got way behind.
And they won. I think they go to
They're
Kansas.
not just barely winning either.
Yes. I think they go to Kansas and win. Yep.
I think they got too much offense.
I do too. I don't think Kansas will be able to stop them, and I think Colorado will stop Kansas just enough to win. The other problem with Kansas, and they're doing it for the future. They're going to better that stadium that they play in on their campus, and so I get why they're kind of homeless. But I think what's really screwed up their season, half the home games have been on a soccer field, and half the home games have been at Arrowhead. We've been at Arrowhead for a Kansas game before. Even when Oklahoma went there, it was like half full at most.
Yeah,
it's a weird. Arrowhead is an unbelievable atmosphere when it's full, and it's full almost all the time. But for situations like this, it's not.
No,
it's not. It's not the same for Kansas.
It's not your field.
No,
it's not your campus.
Yep. Yeah.
Even though Kansas probably just buses over there, I would think.
Probably.
The game is not very far at all.
No.
It's still not the same. And it's just not. So this is not, well, Colorado doesn't travel. I wouldn't think they would. I don't know, though. Dion's you see the ticket prices and the crowds at those games. They may travel to this game. I don't know.
And that's the other thing. And we talked about with Iowa State, and it didn't matter. Kansas killed Iowa State. We talked about how that might be more Iowa State. If Colorado's fired up, it's not that difficult to get to Kansas City from Denver or Boulder, wherever you want to say. So they could have a huge amount of people there. There's going to be tickets readily available. So,
well, the crowds, they're drawing in Boulder.
Yeah, it's crazy.
People it's nuts.
Yep.
It's hard to go in there and win anyway. But, man, now that they've got that thing going, I think this is a playoff team. I don't know if they're that good, but I don't. Okay, I think they have Oklahoma State next week, and it's in Boulder.
Well, they're going to beat them.
And Oklahoma State may be on an 8-game losing streak going in there. And they appear to quit.
Yeah, no, they will kill them. So if they're going to lose, it's this week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then – they either play Arizona State or BYU. They got too much offense for BYU, that's for sure, I think. I don't know about Arizona State. they've got a great chance to make the playoffs, and I would have never in a million years thought that.
Yep. I know. It's crazy.
Now the key's going to be, where is Dion going to go? Will he
Yeah.
stay?
Yeah.
He says he loves it out there.
He says he's staying, but we'll see what happens when it comes to that.
If Florida State decides to fire their coach and they wanted him, how could he turn that down?
Yeah, I don't think he could.
I don't either. So,
but
alma mater, go in there and
a lot of people are saying, "Oh, they're still not playing anybody. Oh, they're still not very good." Look, at the end of the day, that he took over a disaster. They were not very good last year. They were better than they were the year before, but they weren't very good. I mean, if they can win the Big 12, that's a hell of a job. I don't care who they're up against.
No, got to give them credit.
There is a scenario where the Big 12 gets left out. I'm going to cover that in a second. We'll talk about that in just a second. But let's keep going. The Citadel goes to Clemson, and nothing to talk about there with them. Nope. And then Wofford goes to South Carolina. So Clemson and South Carolina, big game next week.
Yes.
Huge tune-ups this week.
That's right.
All right, let's keep going. Missouri goes on the road this week to take on Mississippi State. And Missouri's only a 7.5-point favorite in this game. I thought that was strange.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, Missouri played great last week, I thought.
Yeah.
They should have won that game.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not should have, but they could have.
They could have.
And South Carolina's on a roll.
I would almost say they should have. When you score with that little time left and you're playing South Carolina, you probably should have beat them. Yeah.
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 And, I mean, South Carolina's playing great.
Yeah.
And Missouri went in there and they had their quarterback back. What a gutty kid he is.
This line makes me think he may not play, though. Like
it makes you wonder, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. To be fair, I think when Missouri has Pine as the quarterback, they're terrible.
Yeah.
And when Missouri has Cook, they're not great, but they're good. Like they're solid. Good. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, they're 7-3. They get this one 8-3, beat Arkansas next week 9-3.
Yeah.
What do you want, Missouri fans?
Well, for Missouri, that's good. Exactly.
You're right. So I do too. Yeah, this one you got to take Missouri, unless you got to make sure now he's out.
Yeah.
Well, he played his tail end off last week, I thought. And
yeah, if Cook plays, they will beat a team like Mississippi State.
Right.
Yeah.
And then they mention this real quick in the SEC. Well, when we get to Alabama.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
Let's keep going. Now, this is what I'm going to mention. Army 9-0 versus Notre Dame 9-1. This game's going to be played at Yankee Stadium. Notre Dame a 14.5-point favorite. Well, we saw Navy go up against an undefeated Navy go up against Notre Dame and get whacked. However, Navy's not very good. They've been exposed since then. What about Army? Do they have any chance in this game?
They're better than Navy.
Yeah, that's been proven. Yeah.
But if you want to run down the teams Army's played, there's no reason to. They have played nobody.
No.
It's in Yankee Stadium. That doesn't matter either.
It helps. I mean, it helps Notre Dame, if anybody.
Well, yeah. Yeah, Notre Dame will have the most fans. I don't think it matters anyway. I'm going Notre Dame in the points. I just don't think Army's good enough.
Yeah, so I'm going to go Notre Dame as well. I don't think I think maybe it'll be closer than the Navy game, but not by much. You talked about Army. They have beat Lehigh, Florida Atlantic. By the way, Tom Herman gets fired at Florida Atlantic. He can't even win there. No. They beat Rice, Temple, Tulsa. This is awful. UAB, East Carolina, Air Force, and at North Texas.
That's their best win, probably.
And at North Texas is their best win.
Yeah.
They're not going and beating Notre Dame. I'm sorry. It's not going to happen.
Notre Dame will have to piss down their leg to lose this one.
And I don't think they're going to do that.
I don't either. They've been too consistent.
I do really hope it happens, though. But I don't.
Well, I think it would be fantastic.
Yeah. Now,
some of those teams on the bubble for the playoffs are hoping it happens too.
Yeah, exactly. On the flip side, Notre Dame really hasn't beaten much either, but they've beaten a lot tougher teams than Army. Win against A&M looks a lot better now. Purdue, whatever, Miami of Ohio, whatever. They beat Louisville. That's not bad.
That's a good win.
Stanford's not good. Georgia Tech, that's not a terrible win.
They won pretty easy.
Yeah, and then Navy, Florida State, and then Virginia is not awful, I guess. But yeah, so the only blemish there on Notre Dame was that Northern Illinois loss, and I don't know how they lost to them.
I don't either. I don't either.
Yeah, but I do think Notre Dame gets it done. Now, here's the doomsday scenario that Kevin B was talking about. There is a scenario, and it's a long shot, but there is a scenario where the Big 12 is left out of the playoff. So the rules are the top 5 ranked conference champions get in. If Army went undefeated, they would probably be ranked ahead of the Big 12 conference champion. And therefore, the Army would get the 5th spot and the Big 12 would be left out. Now,
and they did a bye.
Well, no, because Boise
they
would still get the bye. I don't think they'd move ahead of Boise. But
okay, that's right. Only
for this to happen, Army would have to win out.
Win out.
It's not happening. And probably Colorado would have to lose to Kansas. Because I still think Colorado would be ranked ahead of them unless something like that happened. It's not going to happen.
BYU would too.
Right. Yeah.
But it could happen.
It could, and that would be funny, but I don't think that's going to happen. And look, if Army goes undefeated and in the Big 12, all those teams lose another game, it probably should happen, right? Who cares?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because we just laid it out. Army would have the best win over Notre Dame. And then Army would also have to beat Tulane, and that's not probably going to happen either. So, okay, let's keep going. Boise State, speaking of a team that is in and will be in, all they got to do is keep winning. They go on the road to take on Wyoming. Boise State, 23-point favorite. Not much to talk about here, I don't know.
They should cover that, I would think. They haven't covered they covered last week, but they didn't the week before.
Should be easy.
It's just they're bored,
Yep.
Weather looks good, though, 50. Heck.
Yep.
It's nothing. They should cover that.
Yep, should be easy here. Boise State, boy, they are in the driver's seat. Not only can they make the playoffs right now, they are the number 4 seed. They're going to get a bye. So it's crazy what's happening. I don't know if that changes if Colorado was to win out impressively, BYU went out impressively. Maybe they jump Boise in the rankings. I don't know. But as of right now, Boise's in the bye.
I think if Colorado romps or wins fairly easy this week and then kills Oklahoma State and then wins easy in the Big 12, I think they pass them.
I think they'll pass them too. And I think you could say the same for BYU. BYU may pass them next week if they go to Arizona State and win. So
they might.
If I'm a Boise fan, I wouldn't just sit there and go, okay, win out, we'll be the 4 seed. I don't know about that.
And also, if you're a conspiracy theorist, I don't think whoever's voting on this crap's going to let that happen. If BYU's only got 1 loss or Colorado runs the table.
They're not going to let it happen as long as the Big 12 gives them a reason.
That's right. That's what I meant. That's what I meant. Yeah.
All right. Alabama goes on the road to take on Oklahoma this weekend, and I was shocked by the line. Alabama is only a 13.5-point favorite. I don't know what world this thing stays within 14, but what do you think? Am I crazy?
It's been this the whole time. It's not moving.
It's actually moved a 0.5 point in favor of Oklahoma. Yes. I saw it at 14 at one point. Yeah.
I don't know.
I can't explain it. I think if you haven't followed Oklahoma all year, you might look at it and go, okay, proud school, night game, at home, chance to pull off a big upset. Could be a little bit of a trap for Alabama. And if you haven't paid attention to Oklahoma, I could get where you kind of just look at it and go, well, it's Oklahoma. Surely they're going to put up a fight. But if you've watched them, I don't know how Oklahoma's capable offensively to do it. That's the thing.
They're not.
If we had anybody that could make a play,
we don't.
I could get behind maybe covering, but I don't know how Oklahoma gets enough points to make this close.
Alabama is going to have to play horrible.
I think for Oklahoma to cover, they're going to have to score a touchdown with the defense. And what I mean by that is the defense interception run down to the 5-yard line. No, they have to get in the end zone.
That's
and
right.
then they're going to have to score a touchdown on special teams.
Absolutely.
They're going to have to get it multiple scores from things that aren't the offense.
Yeah, Alabama's going to have to snap to the punter over their head, some
Yeah.
stupid thing like that. The other thing is Alabama's quarterback runs the ball so well.
Yeah.
And that kills Oklahoma. They've traditionally had trouble with running quarterbacks.
Yeah.
And this kid is really special at that. Now, he's inconsistent throwing the ball. You know, he's had some games where he hasn't thrown the ball very well. But Alabama, when they've lost, their problem has been their defense. You know, they've scored okay.
And that's not going to get exposed.
That's not going to get it. No. I don't ever bet my team ever, one way or the other. But my God, it's tempting because I see no way they play them this close.
Every week since we realized the offense was just horrible, which has been about 8 weeks now, we're driving down to the game or we're talking with the game and we'll go, well, how many, like realistically, how many points can the Oklahoma offense, we're not talking about special teams defense, like how many points can the Oklahoma offense score?
Yeah.
And usually we guess 10, 17, and we're wrong. It's usually less than that they actually score. Realistically, without any assists, just unassisted offensive points,
they earn them.
How many can we expect Oklahoma to score? 7?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
That's my
maximum
number.
10. Maximum 10.
I'm going into this game hoping they don't get shut out.
Absolutely. I've done that the last 2 or 3 games.
Yeah.
Well, I thought they might score at Missouri. But
yeah, Missouri, not so much.
Mississippi? Is that where they missed that field goal early? Or they didn't go for the field goal early?
They went for it and got stopped.
I thought, uh-oh. We had a sure field goal. We didn't get it. We may get shut out in this game.
I mean, the last home game we went to, they played South Carolina, right?
Yeah.
And it was 21-0 before we could even
sat down.
Right. Yeah, the band left the field and then it was 21-0. And also, I remember now this is South Carolina we were playing. They kicked a long field goal to make it, I think, 21-3. And I looked at you and said, I was not sure we would have points on the board. And that was against South Carolina.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why would anybody take Oklahoma in the points in this game?
I don't know. I mean, okay, say they luck around and they get 14, which I don't think they're going to. Alabama would have to score less than 28.
Right.
Which don't think that's going to happen either.
I don't think it's unrealistic to think that the Oklahoma defense can hold Alabama to 27. What I think is unrealistic is the other aspects of Oklahoma's team holding Alabama to 0.
Well, that's true.
Because when you think of the South Carolina game, and I said, okay, how many do you think we can score? And we're like, I don't know, 10, 14 points. It's like, okay, can Oklahoma's defense hold them to 10 or 14 points? And we were like, maybe. But we didn't account for the 21 points that the offense would let.
When you say we can hold Alabama to 27, that's Alabama earning the 27.
That's Alabama's offense versus Oklahoma's defense. Yeah, I think we can hold them in the 20s. Yes.
I think you're right.
Yes.
But that won't happen.
But Alabama's defense versus our offense, I don't think we can hold them in single digits. I think it's double digits. So
no.
There you go.
And again, I don't know what kind of attitude. I mean, I think they'll come out on fire, but what's going to happen when the first stupid thing the offense does? What's going to happen then? And say they come out and they get the ball first, OU does, and they drive it a little bit, and say maybe they get lucky and kick a field goal.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe. And then let's say they stop Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
And Alabama punts it, and on the first play, we throw an interception.
Right.
And then they go score. And then we come out and go 3 and out.
Yep.
And then they drive it and go score. What happens then? Do we quit?
Is it that point? I don't know. Because
I
to
think
their
it is.
to the credit of the defense, they have played hard all year.
They have.
They
But
have
there's
hung
only
and
so much
hung
you
and
can
hung
take.
with it. Yep.
There's only so much you can take, and
Yep.
you can't keep going out there knowing that you have to stop them every time because your offense isn't going to do anything.
Rob says if that happens, we cash our Bama ticket. Exactly.
Absolutely, Rob.
So Jackson
You
Arnold
won't
tore
think
up
you bet
Missouri for
Alabama.
74 yards through the air. with
74
frauds.
yards.
So here's what's one last thing. And this is the world of college football that is crazy and doesn't make sense.
Mhm.
Our media tends to believe, no matter who it is, that
Mhm.
Jackson Arnold
Mhm.
can enter the transfer portal and
Mhm.
immediately be a starting quarterback anywhere that needs a quarterback next year.
And it's so stupid.
I don't
If he can do that, why can't he there?
I don't get the fascination with this kid, and I don't have anything against him. And honestly, I don't think it's a situation where he's a bad kid or he's not
No,
trying or
absolutely
any of
not.
that. I have nothing against him.
No,
He hasn't
he's
in
terrible.
any game all year. He just hasn't shown it.
Mm-mm.
So I don't understand why anybody would
No.
want him, but that's just me. Okay.
Yeah, I
we're
don't
both-
either. But they're automatically assuming that he's going to be a prize catch.
because he
And
was a
I don't-
5-star quarterback, but
Yeah, but he's not on the field. He's not a 5-star quarterback. So
to me, at best, he's a project. Like some guru gets him and goes, "I'm going to fix him." I could see it. Like
Yeah.
he can't be this bad. And
well, I know, but they're also thinking an offense. These are the people we listen to, and they're just like us.
Yeah.
They're thinking an offensive coordinator is going to come in there and make all the difference.
well,
You got to get players.
to be fair, I think all of them they say that, but they also think that he's going to bring in a quarterback.
Right.
And that package of a new play caller, a good system, and the quarterback will help immensely.
It'll help, but case in point, and I know this is a whole different scenario. Let's look at Arkansas for just a second.
Right. Yep.
They you're not going to find a better offensive mind than Bobby Petrino.
Right.
Well, they aren't lighting it up because they don't have a quarterback.
Well, but to be fair, he came from a A&M. He was at A&M the year before. They didn't have a quarterback for him to bring with them.
Yes, I know that.
I think that's the point. Like he
There's
went
no
out and he
guarantee
just
they're
had to
gonna
get
bring
some
him.
guy that he didn't really
Yeah.
ever know or recruit or anything.
Oh,
You know what
so
I mean?
what Venables has to do, and I don't envy him, he's got to first of all find a guy to come there
Mhm.
with Venables' job is on the line.
Whoever comes there knows it could be one and done.
It could be 1 year. So
Yeah.
what do you got to do to get him there? What are you going to pay him $2.5, $3 million?
Yes.
That's the
Yes.
first thing you're going to have to do.
Yes.
Because if I'm a guy sitting out there thinking, this guy's going to get his ass fired if we don't win 7 or 8 games,
Uh-huh.
and we're in the SEC,
Mm-hmm.
and next year's schedule is just as brutal as this one.
Mhm.
One. So you got to pay him big time. And okay, so you got to bring him in. But then the next thing you got to do is you got to find somebody that can bring a quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to find a good offensive coordinator who's willing to take a risk, and he's got to have a quarterback too.
Yeah. So a few of these comments really good. Lincoln Riley
Oh.
back as offensive coordinator when he gets fired. But it's funny, but that's what they're gonna have. They're gonna have to make a Lincoln Riley like hire. Talking about when they hired him to be the offensive coordinator,
He ain't
he
coming
did.
back.
He did turn it around.
He did, but he's
He
not
did
coming
do
back.
something similar-ish to what's going to happen. So
Absolutely, they got
that's the type of guy they're going to have to have.
That.
The number
But
one
now-
candidate.
Don't forget with Lincoln, who was the quarterback that was there?
Well, yeah, Baker Mayfield.
They
was
had
there.
Baker Mayfield,
Exactly. And he
followed
went
by
out.
Kyler Murray, followed by Jalen Hurts. End of scenario. So they got to find a quarterback like that.
And then when Jeff Levy came, he had his quarterback, Dylan
And then
Gabriel.
Dylan Gabriel was there.
So they go hand in hand. You got
They've got
the
to
offensive
find
coordinator has to find a quarterback. Josh Heupel
Mhm.
got fired because he missed on back-to-back quarterbacks
That's right.
at Oklahoma. So anyway, Ben Arbuckle is the offensive coordinator at Washington State. So that's
Yep.
the rumor right now. Honestly, Oklahoma believes that Oklahoma media believes that Ben Arbuckle will be the offensive coordinator, and then John Mateer will be the quarterback.
And the other rumor is the one at Tulane.
Yeah, and that would be Drew Mensa and Joe Craddock. Joe Craddock, the offensive coordinator, Drew Mensa, the quarterback.
That's
Those
the
are the
two biggies.
two packages
And
Oklahoma believes might come.
who's Spavinar? Is he with Baylor?
Yes. Yeah.
That's the
Spavital
other.
is Baylor.
But I don't
And-
know that he has a quarterback he can bring.
Yeah, with the Spavital thing, we don't have a kind of a rumor on a quarterback. No.
Yeah.
But,
And they
and then the
also
other,
went
I want
after-
to point this out. A
Right.
good quarterback costs $1 million. So
At least.
here's the deal. The debate of is Jackson Arnold coming back? Is he not coming back? With NIL, you got to commit that $1 million to a quarterback. That's why he's there in the first place. They
Mhm.
chose to commit money to him instead of Dylan Gabriel. The rest is history.
Mhm.
There's no chance Arnold's back next year unless he's going to not get paid because they're not committing $1 million to that guy. It's not going to
Mm-mm.
happen again
No.
because they're going to have to go get Mensa, Mateer, somebody. So
And you know the other sickening thing about this is these guys all have agents. These
Yep.
quarterbacks.
Yep.
They're already out looking. Where can I go? Where can I get the money?
yeah, I would say Arnold has a real good idea of where he's going to go next year
Probably.
already. Yeah.
Yeah. It's ridiculous. But
But go ahead and bet him plus 13.5 if you'd like this week against Alabama.
yeah, I wouldn't.
Okay, let's
Yep.
keep going. Texas A&M goes on the road to take on Auburn. And how about this? Texas A&M, a 2.5-point favorite here at night against Auburn. Who you got?
Do you get that one? I don't get that one at all.
Very confused.
That's another fishy line.
I will say this. Auburn's good enough to beat them.
They are.
But will Auburn allow themselves to beat
I don't think
beat
so.
'em.
I don't
I
think
don't
you
either.
can bet Auburn.
Nope.
Um,
Nope.
A&M's they're pretty good.
I don't know.
They're pretty good.
I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, they're better than Auburn.
Yeah, well, yes.
2.5. They should. I just cannot take Auburn.
Mm-mm.
I can't.
I can't either. No.
Mm-mm.
All right, we're both going A&M. All right, Iowa State goes on the road. The final one here. Iowa State goes on the road to take on Utah. Big game for the Cyclones. They really
Yeah.
need this one.
Still have a
Finally get back
chance.
in the winners win column.
Yep.
Minus 7.5. What do you got?
Well, I think they win. I don't think Utah has anything left. I don't think so. They got killed last week. Colorado. They left it all out there against BYU. It's just going to depend on, do they bring it? Do they come after them? Are they got anything left? Do they care? And the spread.
Mm-hmm.
I'm staying away from it. I don't like betting Iowa State anything that high of a spread, no matter who they play.
Yep.
So I'm staying away.
I'm with you. I'm going to go with Utah to cover. I don't believe in Iowa State. I don't think they're very good. Just to say that.
Kevin, it's that kind of year. No one has separated themselves from anybody.
Yeah. Well, look, A&M can prove it. A&M can definitely prove it. So, okay. Jonathan says, bring back dudes who bet daily. Shoddy says what Jonathan said. I have nobody to do it with. How about that?
You got me?
No, you're gone all the time.
Well, maybe if a commitment was made to this, I'd just have to tell them no. Maybe we ought to bring it back not like 5 days in a row.
Well, so the problem was Papa Dude subs and Magic got a job with FanDuel and
That's the
Tomic
main
got a job with
problem, not me.
VSiN. Well, a lot of days it would just be me doing it. That's the
Yeah,
problem.
we can't do that.
And then you wouldn't love that show if it was just me, Jonathan. That's the
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Uh,
And Yeah, and for people that don't realize, it was kind of hard for all of us to be able to commit to that at the time we did it, and we had to do it early in the mornings because you got to get the bets in. Sometimes those games started at 11 o'clock. Yeah, I like that one, Jonathan. Dudes who bet every other day.
Okay, a little backstory on that show. Well, first of all, are there any other college games you want to talk about?
Oh, no.
No. Okay.
We've covered college enough.
Okay. So that show was supposed to be. This was even. I don't think Papa Dude was. Yeah, no, you were involved with the first part of it.
Yes, I was.
It was supposed to be a
almost every day.
rotating bunch. You know, this guy's on 2 days. This guy's on 2 days. So we
That's
all
what it's
rotate.
supposed to be.
That's what it's supposed to be. And then it was just me and Papa Dude and Samich.
Or now Mike was on quite a bit.
No, so that's what I said. You, me, and Samich were on
Okay.
pretty much 99.9% of the time.
Yeah.
And then when Samich went to VEASAN, Magic came on.
Yeah.
And it was us 99% of the time. And then
He wouldn't do Sunday, though.
He wouldn't do Sunday. He's iffy Thursday, Friday. It's like, yeah, well, okay.
We didn't know till 5 minutes before the show.
Exactly. And then you're subbing, and then I'm looking around going, well, what am I doing here? You know? So that's the story behind it. We may be back. Hey, it was my favorite show. So
it's tough to do those, though, because, well, first of all, when we first started, I wasn't in the situation I was in. I'm in now, and I wasn't subbing hardly at all.
But the problem, it's not, the problem became like.
The problem was you had to do it every day.
Exactly. And I'm driving home from a football game, and I'm pulled over in a parking lot doing it, or I'm on. Or I'm
you're at the racetrack.
I was at Saratoga and doing it from Ricky's parents, living room. And it's
right.
It's not, I can't do it every day, and nobody else will commit to it. So it is what it is.
Well, you got to pony up some more money.
Well, and there's problem number 2.
There's the next problem. There you go.
We're funded by the racing
industry. Solved the problem. Right.
So, unfortunately. I don't know. It may be back one day. We'll see. Okay. NFL, you want to do it?
It won't take long.
Might as well. All right. It's funny. We spend an hour on college, but the NFL is where we do the best every week. So
I know.
And I think it's because we don't overthink it. All right. Work here. Steelers and the Browns kicking it off here. Weird line to me. Steelers are 3.5-point favorites. I think they should be much bigger. So
now I heard this morning, but I was half asleep. The Browns have won like 8 Thursday night games in a row.
Really?
Something like that. Maybe it's 6. It was a
so are you picking
decent number.
I don't know.
Okay, I can see them winning tonight.
I can't. What? What world?
Well, the first thing is it's a division game.
Okay, fair. Yeah.
They don't like each other.
Mm-hmm.
Cleveland has nothing to play for except beating them.
Bad weather. Rob's right there. Yep.
Yep. There you go. That's enough. I wish that line. I know what you're thinking. That line's too low. I agree. But again, you got to think, is Pittsburgh a typical 8-2 team? And we all think they're not because they offensively aren't very good. So when you're not very good offensively and the weather's bad and you've been winning like crazy and you just came off a big win against Baltimore, I could see a surprise tonight.
So I guess the trends, like all the trends are going because Lord says Steelers are 0-8 on. See, I don't look.
That was what I heard.
I don't look at any of this kind of crap.
Well, I don't look at that one, but the other I do.
Here's what I look at. Pittsburgh is a very good team.
They're a
very well coached team.
Yes, they are.
They're having a great season.
Yes, they are.
The Browns are trash.
They are.
They're a poorly coached team. They're having a trash season.
I agree.
Give me Pittsburgh.
If forced to bet, I would take the Steelers as well.
Okay, so we're both going to go Pittsburgh in this one.
But I can see a surprise tonight.
All right, let's have a little fun here on a Sunday. Viking, no, come on. No, there's not. If there is an upset tonight, it is if you're sitting there and you're betting the Browns plus 3.5.
Yeah.
First of all, good luck. I hope you win. I'm not against you as a human being.
I didn't say I was betting them.
But you have to want to throw up if you're going to take the Browns tonight.
I think Pittsburgh's going to win, but I think it might be a 1 or 2 pointer.
Okay.
I don't see how it can be, but the NFL is nuts. I didn't think the Bears they should have beat the Packers last week. Yeah. I didn't see that.
Okay. All right. Well, speaking of the Bears, Vikings and the Bears are next. Minnesota, 3.5-point favorite here on the road against the Bears. What do you think?
Well, if I hadn't seen the Bears last week,
I don't know what to say.
It's the NFL. How good do you think the Vikings are? I mean,
I don't think they're great. I think they're like a playoff type, like a lower level playoff.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, the Bears could easily be 6-4.
Yeah.
They're good.
And so could the Vikings.
There you go. You just answered the whole question.
Yep.
So I'm staying completely away. This is a divisional game. I don't like Minnesota. I mean, I think they've played what they've done is unbelievable. I would take the Bears if I was going to bet it.
All right. The Bears. I'm not doing that. Give me Minnesota. No,
I'm not betting it. Okay.
Minnesota.
All right.
No. I get that. Don't bet it. I think that's a weird game.
Yeah, I just don't have.
Yeah, I wouldn't bet that one.
Yeah.
I'm with you on that one. All right, Lions take on the Colts. The Lions are 7-point favorites here. The Colts, little life. Anthony Richardson, little bit of life, but now they've got the Lions. Right. I know.
When's the last time you saw a 52-6 NFL game? I was trying to think.
It's been a long time.
I can't remember.
It's been a long time.
And it could have been 152-6. I mean, they just destroyed them. I don't think they ever punted. Had 38 first downs or something like that. They're just a machine at the moment. Give me the Lions. I don't think the Colts can play them that close.
Yeah, I'm with you. Give me the Lions here as well. I don't think we're going to see an upset here. I think the Lions get it done pretty easily. Okay, let's keep going. Really good one here. The Patriots go on the road to take on the Dolphins. The Dolphins are 7.5-point favorites. I say it every week. The Patriots are horrible, but they do try.
They do.
I wouldn't be shocked if they went down there and win, but at the end of the day, I think Miami's too much for them right now.
I do too. It's just the point spread.
Yeah.
Think they might be able to play them that close? They might.
They might. I think they will do everything they can to play them that close. But I still don't think they're good enough.
No, if I had to bet, I'd take the Dolphins. But
yeah,
this will be their third in a row. They're making a push to get a wild card type spot because Denver is the last one, I think. And if Miami can get on a roll, they could catch them. So I like the Dolphins to cover. Shaky. It's shaky though.
Yeah, I think the Dolphins, like I said, they're getting going, and I think this one they're going to get. So give me Miami in this one as well. Buccaneers and the Giants are next, and it's Tommy DeVito taking over for the Giants. Jesus. So here we go. DeVito against the Bucs here. Tampa, 6-point favorite.
Will you be surprised if it's not 21-20? I would not be a bit surprised.
No, I think
they can beat anybody by 6.
I think the Giants will get a little bit of boost from a better quarterback.
Did you see where he was the third string quarterback?
Yes.
And Drew Lock was the second string quarterback?
I did see that, yes.
Would someone please explain that to me?
Well, I mean.
By the way, I hate to interrupt you, but did you see that episode the other day on The Family Business with Landry Jones?
No, I did not.
Well, they were talking about his pro career where he was a backup, but he goes, you know when the best job to have in the NFL is? And they go, what? You want to be the third string quarterback.
Okay.
You don't have to practice. You just carry a clipboard around. The pay's about the same as the second string quarterback, but they have to work out. So Tommy DeVito doesn't even take part in any kind of practice. And he passes Drew Lock, who does.
Right.
This is how screwed up the Giants are.
They're pretty. It's pretty bad.
I mean, Tampa should cover this, but I don't think they will.
I think they'll cover it though, because I think they kind of the way their schedule sets up, they can make a run at this.
Yeah,
thing.
they can.
So I think they'll come in focused, and I think they'll get it done. I think they'll beat them.
Okay. I'm not
Give
sure
me
they
the
cover,
Bucks.
but
I think
they
the
will.
Bucks cover.
Okay.
Okay, well, the Giants are a disaster. The Cowboys are a disaster.
Oh,
Cowboys and Commanders, Washington, a 10-point favorite, and they probably should be.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I don't see it. Dallas has no life.
It's bad.
It is.
Because, the Texans really they haven't been great this year. They've been okay, but they've been a little disappointing based on the expectation levels. The Texans beat the shit out of them, though.
They
the
did.
Cowboys I'm talking about.
Well, and the Eagles did the week before.
Oh, yeah, it's embarrassing.
So do you go ahead? They're going to have to make a coaching change. Would it do any good to do that now or just ride it out?
They'll probably ride it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know that it's his fault. He's won every year. They just don't have, well, they're going to have to start all over.
Yep.
Because they're trash at the moment.
Yep.
And I like to watch the Commanders play.
Yeah.
That kid is really good. I don't know if he's going to be able to stay healthy.
Yeah.
So career, but yeah, I think they cover. I think they beat them easy.
I do too. By the way, yeah, I was going to mention this. There it is. DeVito versus Cooper Rush on Thanksgiving.
Oh my God, is that the Lions game? No, that's the one. That's right. It's the Cowboys and Giants. That's right.
Yes.
That's the dog. I don't know who the Lions play.
I looked it up the other day. I can't remember, but it's not awful. But this,
and they're at least entertaining.
That's going to be embarrassingly bad.
Yep.
All right, Chiefs and the Panthers next. The Chiefs are 10.5-point favorites coming off a loss going over to Carolina. I don't know. Who do you? This should be pretty easy, right?
Should.
Yeah.
You think they can cover 10.5? I don't know.
I do. Yeah.
I thought they were. I just didn't think they played very well at all the other day.
They didn't.
Mm-mm.
They didn't.
They haven't been.
No. But I
not.
do think they cover this.
Well, they should. They're not the best team in the NFL right now.
I don't think they're top 3 right now, even.
Okay, so the Lions have got to be the best.
Lions and Bills, I think, are better than them.
Yeah. Yeah. The Ravens might be.
I hate the Ravens.
I know you can't trust them either.
No.
Eagles
All right.
are playing well.
Eagles, yeah, they probably could beat them right now.
Yep.
So we're both on the Chiefs, Titans, and Texans next. Texans 7.5-point favorites here against the Titans.
If they play like they did the other night, they cover.
I think they'll cover.
I
I think
do.
this Titans team is gross.
Yep.
Give me the Texans. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Big game here.
These are gross.
It's a bad game, but this is a huge game for the Broncos.
Oh, yes.
Denver's a 6-point favorite on the road here against the Raiders. Any kind of upset possibility here?
Sure. Anytime Denver takes the field, they can lose. But I don't think they're going to.
I'm starting to believe in Denver that they're not going to lose a game like this.
Yeah. Well,
I
they
think
cover
Denver wins.
6. That's the thing.
I think they cover it.
They killed Atlanta. They beat, and that was so impressive because they were coming off that just bad lot, not bad, but a heartbreaking loss to the Chiefs.
Yep.
They come back and just thrash Atlanta. That was impressive.
Yep.
They get this one, that's 7.
Yep.
And they've got a good shot to make the playoffs.
Yep, I agree. I think they're going to get this one. Give me Denver in this game. I think they get it done. All right, 49ers, bad loss to the Seahawks at home. They go to Green Bay to take on the Packers. It's Green Bay -2 in this game. Who you got?
I'm beginning to lose my faith in the Niners. That they should have won that game easy,
Yes.
and they didn't. Watched a little bit. They didn't ever get control of it. Now they got to go to Green Bay. The Packers are decent, coming off a lucky win. Give me the Packers. I don't think they're going to beat them.
49ers. Going to give them one more shot. I'm going to take the 49ers. 49ers
Almost
beat
a
them.
must win for them.
Oh, it is. It is for
Well,
sure.
it's not because the division's winnable, but still, they got to get to
Well,
playing better.
They better win this game.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, we'll keep going. Arizona and Seattle, Battle of the Birds here. Arizona, 1-point favorite on the road. Who you got?
Oh boy,
Tough one.
it is. The Cardinals need this one bad.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they may win the division if they win this.
Yep, I agree.
Well, I'm rooting for them, so I'm taking them. I don't want to root against them. I think they get them.
I think they're going to get them too. I like Arizona. I think they beat them. Give me Arizona in this one. All right, let's go to the Sunday night game. The Eagles are on the road taking on the Rams, and it's the Eagles, a 2.5-point favorite here against my Rams. Who you got?
Well, this is another one. The Rams need it desperately.
Mm-hmm.
If they could get this one, they could make a major move out there too.
Mm-hmm.
Make up for some of the others they should have won.
Mm-hmm.
Nope, give me Philly.
Big upset. My Rams are going to win Sunday night. Going to be crazy out there. Probably more Eagles fans than Rams fans, honestly.
Definitely.
But give me my Rams. I think this is the upset they need to springboard to the final run into the playoffs here. I think the Rams get the upset. So I will take my Rams to beat the Eagles. All right, Monday night, Ravens and Chargers. It's the Ravens, 3-point favorites in this one. Who you got?
Wow, this is a good one. Oh, boy, this is tough. I'm doing better with the Chargers this year.
Me too. You know why?
Because they're consistent.
Because they're coached.
Yeah, that's right.
It real quick. I'm going to jump in.
Yep.
It is an utter shame.
Yeah.
That he didn't have the roster that Staley had the last few years, because this Chargers team, from a roster standpoint, is not as good as what they've had. Not even close.
Nope.
But he can coach.
He can. And they're winning games by toughness, you know, defense.
Yep.
Not turning it over, doing stupid stuff, making coaching decisions that make sense.
Yep.
The old-fashioned way. And yeah.
Being a real coach.
Yeah, that's right. The Ravens are so inconsistent. They lose games they shouldn't. They're really good, but they lose games.
Mm-hmm.
And they're favored. I'm going Chargers.
I went with the Chargers as well. I think they're going to beat them. I really, truly, this needs to be a case study when this is all said and done of how a coach can affect an NFL team.
Yeah.
Because again, you compare the roster from 2-3 years ago to now, it's not even close. You would take the team from 2 or 3 years ago, but they have a system. They play within it. They're well coached. They don't do dumb things for the most part. I mean, all NFL teams at times will do dumb things, but for the most part, they don't. And they win. They win close games instead of losing close games every week. I mean,
that's the key.
Yeah. Yep.
They win the games they're supposed to.
Yep.
Which they never could do.
Nope.
And then they would get in those 50-50 games and couldn't win them. So
now this is a game that if they lose, it's maybe they should have, right?
It's okay. I think top to bottom, Baltimore has better players.
Yep, but I think they're going to beat them. I really think the Chargers are going to beat them.
The Ravens aren't very good on defense.
I think the Ravens are extremely overrated.
Yeah, probably because when they're good, they're really good. You know what I mean? They really look good sometimes.
Yeah. But I mean, I'm going to pull it up again. We pulled it up last week.
Dynamic,
they lost to the Browns. They lost to the Raiders.
Yeah.
I
That's
mean,
2 horrible losses.
the Bengals game, holy cow, they shoulda, coulda lost that one
Oh,
pretty
they should
easy.
have. But then you look up there and
I know.
they beat the Bills 35-10.
Yep, I know. This is a huge game for them. Next week against the Eagles, that's not going to be easy. They still got the Steelers. They still got to go to Houston. They really need this game this week.
Yes, they do. It gets them to
they do.
8-4.
Yeah,
Um,
they do have an automatic win still left with the Giants. That'll help.
This is a huge for the Steelers. They got to win this game. They got Cleveland twice in the next 5 or 6 weeks.
Yep.
They've got 8 wins. That would get them to 10. Baltimore's only got 7. I mean, the Eagles have got all division. No, they've still got to play the Chiefs. I think not the Eagles, the Steelers.
Yeah.
Still got to play the Chiefs, and I think they have to play the Eagles.
Yeah, Steelers, they have a tough last part of the schedule. I'll pull it up now. They do have to play the Chiefs.
No,
But like I said, this is the key right here. These games, they got to win them. Browns, Bengals, Browns.
If they could get those 3, they could really put the hurt.
Well, they're 8-2. Let's say they go 2-1 in this stretch right here. Browns, Bengals, Browns. That would be 10-3.
10-3. Lose to the Eagles.
Yeah, probably going to lose to the Ravens, and then probably going to lose to the Chiefs. I mean, so
it could all go to hell on them pretty quick.
Yeah, I think they're still looking at about 11 wins, though. I think they'll look. Yeah. That's another reason why tonight's game is huge. I mean, they're not done. They're looking at schedule and going, well, we got to get this one.
They do.
So,
and they got to beat the Bengals once.
Yeah,
they could
they could beat them twice.
They could beat the Chiefs.
They could. Yep.
I don't know.
All right. Anything else you want to talk about?
I know you said you had some other sports. What was?
Well, we got to talk about the NHL, right? Before we get out of here.
God, yeah, okay.
I love the NHL, so
I know you do.
I watch it every night.
It's pretty good.
Look who's in first right now in the Atlantic.
Big surprise.
Craig Berube coached Toronto Maple Leafs without Austin Matthews.
Unreal,
I might say.
He might make a difference when he gets in there too.
Just maybe make a little bit. So Toronto, lacking that toughness in the past, they're not going to lack that anymore, or they'll be
they will be tough
out of there. So yeah, love Toronto. Florida obviously playing good again. Got to mention Kevin's New Jersey Devils. They have looked good. But they've played more games than everybody else. That's kind of the scary thing. But
how about this one too? You kind of mention Ovechkin, don't you think?
Well, he got hurt though.
I know. What is he now? 20-some goals away from a Wayne Gretzky, I think.
I think he's 27 away now.
Unbelievable.
It's 27 or 28. He leads the league in goals.
Anybody would get that close.
I know. He leads the league in goals right now for the season.
Of course, he's played like 30 years. Gretzky played what? 10 or 12, 13 maybe.
Boy, unfortunately, though, he scored 2 goals the other night, and it was just a freak accident, knee to knee, and I don't know. He's week to week, so he may miss a little bit of time.
Yeah,
but Capital's playing very well.
Yes, they are
in second. Now, will that continue without him? He scored like 15 goals. So
it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
He's been unreal.
The other big news here, Boston Bruins fire Montgomery. I thought that was a panic move if there ever was one.
Yep.
They're only, they're tied for the last spot right now, but it's been 20 games.
I know.
So I don't know what's going to happen there. That's a weird situation.
It is.
In the West, Winnipeg got off to the hot shot. Winnipeg's going to come back down a little bit,
yeah,
no doubt. But they're a pretty good team. Obviously, I still like the Knights. I still like the Stars. They've really gotten to their game, and I would look for Edmonton to make a run here pretty quick.
I think so.
They're starting to turn it around as we speak. Another team just got off to a bad start, starting to play a lot better though. So
yeah. And do you think Colorado will get going? They got goaltending problems, don't they?
I am on the fence with just how much they're going to get going. I think there will be a playoff team, talking about Colorado, but they just are kind of missing a little bit. And yet injuries have been a problem, and just kind of leadership and goaltending's been an issue. And I don't know.
They have come back. They started out 0-5.
Yeah. You really don't start worrying, unless you're Boston, you really don't start worrying about an NHL team until you get into December, and these early games, they're tough. But I think they will make the playoffs. I'm not sure Colorado will be able to beat a Dallas, a Vegas, and Edmonton in a 7-game series. I'm just not sure on that yet.
So Colorado's going to have to catch somebody. So who would they knock out? Vancouver, maybe? Calgary?
I think Calgary's playing above their head right now. Minnesota maybe playing above their head a little bit. I think Colorado's better than the Kings. Like I think they can catch those teams.
Yeah.
I think it's just a matter of
playing. Get healthy.
Yeah. Christmas is a good cutoff as well. Kevin says. I mean, you ideally, obviously, you want to get out to a good start. You want to build up some points here, but hockey really kind of, it's a second half of the regular season type of thing, where before you really panic or before you just say, well, we're terrible, unless you're St. Louis. Now we got to address St. Louis down here with 17 points. This is the worst version of the Blues we've had in a while, in my opinion. This team is lifeless. This team cannot score. They cannot get shots. They cannot possess the puck. And right now, their goaltending is not playing very well through the first quarter of the season.
Big rumors. Goodbye, Bennington, right?
I've heard a lot of rumors about that. Look, he hasn't been good this year so far. I can't say that he's been good, but who exactly are we going to put in there? And
there's nobody.
You simply look and see. You can see it on the screen here. We've scored 49 goals in 20 games.
Yeah.
In today's NHL, you're not going to win scoring 49 goals in 20 games. It is a goal scorers league right now. It's a wide open league. It's up and down the ice, and the Blues simply do not have that style of game. They just don't. It's not good.
Yeah.
They're worse than last year.
Oh, and there's no stars. There's nobody to watch.
No,
It's so boring.
No, it's funny. We watch the Blues, and then we'll go watch other teams, and then on nights the Blues don't play, we'll watch 3 or 4 other different games, and it's like the Blues they're always the most boring game out of the set that you watch. It's always the Blues Minnesota game was a close game, but it was like watching paint dry, and that's not hockey. So, yeah.
It's bad.
And then you watch the Vegas and Toronto last night, and you go, well, God, both of these teams are head and shoulders above the team I root for. It's not even close. So, it sucks. Yeah.
Just don't have anybody put the puck in the net. When you don't, you're boring.
Yep. Most boring teams to watch, if you want to, because I watch them all. Here are the list of boring teams to watch. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Islanders are number 1.
I would say so. Look at those. They got almost as many ties as they do losses and wins.
They are so 1-0, 2-1 type team. Yeah. It's so boring. The Columbus Blue Jackets are like watching paint dry.
Okay.
Don't watch them.
Don't
the
worry.
Flyers are very boring. Do not watch the Flyers. Minnesota's a really good team. Very boring.
Yeah.
Boring
they play that style.
Los Angeles Kings, boring.
Yeah.
Utah Hockey Club, snooze fest. Not fun to watch. Utah, not at all. Anaheim, very boring. Very boring. And number 1, the Blues. Blues are very boring.
And you saw most of their records other than Minnesota.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Penguins are fun. I agree. Because they score a lot and it's up and down. It's not good hockey, but it's not boring hockey. That's the same way with when I watch San Jose. San Jose is a team. They suck. I wouldn't really call them boring though.
They beat the Blues tonight.
Well, that's probably, but
they can't beat them.
San Jose's got some young guys. They're kind of fast. Yeah,
They're
no, they're
tough.
kind of they're like fast and they're not
They're
very
getting
good, but they're not.
slaughtered very often.
No, well, I think last night the Stars,
Well,
or was it
yeah,
2
but they
nights ago the
played
Stars
somebody
go?
pretty good last night.
Right, yeah. Yeah. The Ducks have a goalie that's not too bad.
Well, they're 8-8-2. That's pretty good at the moment for them.
Yeah, they're still very boring to watch though. So
Right, but they're ahead of us.
most exciting teams, definitely Florida.
Oh, I love watching them.
The Leafs are pretty exciting.
I still like to watch Tampa.
Tampa's exciting.
Carolina is fun to watch.
The Capitals were a boring team last year. They've been exciting because Ovechkin's been elite. Carolina and New Jersey, they're not boring. They're not exciting. They're kind of just in the middle, I call it. And then Rangers are exciting. Buffalo's exciting. They're up and down. And definitely Vegas and
Winnipeg is.
Vegas, Winnipeg, Edmonton, Colorado. They're all fun to watch.
Mhm.
Yep. And then there's kind of more in the middle, like I would say Dallas and New Jersey and Carolina and probably Vancouver are in the middle. They're like they're not boring, but they're not like flashy,
Mhm.
That's how I describe them. And listen, those are the teams that usually win the cup, right? The teams that are grinders. So
Yep.
anyway. All right. Anything else?
No, I don't think
Okay.
so.
Well, I'll be back next week for more exciting talk about hockey. I know you, me, and Kevin. That's probably it. They care, but
College basketball's rolling, but still way too early to get any kind of a feel. Now there's some huge tournaments this weekend
so isn't it?
starting today.
What about next week? Isn't next week?
Well,
a
there's
big-
always some too next week, but there's there's one in the Bahamas. It's pretty big this week.
We're in that one, aren't we?
That's next week.
Oh, okay.
We're in the B team.
Okay.
Yeah, Baylor at St. John's.
I'm looking at the Saturday slate here. There's going to be
No,
somebody.
it starts tonight.
Oh, okay. So we don't know who's going to be. Okay, gotcha. Baylor, St. John's. That's
they're
Bahamas.
in the Bahamas. Virginia and Tennessee's in the Bahamas.
Okay, and then Friday, I'm sure they're playing some
No,
more.
I think there was 8 teams down there.
Oh, the other ones weren't ranked, I guess.
Oh,
Okay.
probably not.
Now,
But
what
there's
about
some good ones?
what about the big ones coming up, though?
Well, I haven't looked that far.
Okay.
I just saw it today.
All right. Well, we'll talk about it Wednesday. Yeah, go to next Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Okay.
Yeah,
That's what
and
I'm
then there's, of course, over Thanksgiving. I
That's
think
what I'm
that's the
talking
one that's in Maui.
let's see. Memphis, UConn.
Which
Oh,
one?
Auburn and Iowa State, 4-5 in Maui.
Yeah,
There
and
you
then
go.
Memphis and UConn was in Maui.
Right. That'll be good. And then North Carolina, Dayton. Dayton's
good.
5-0. Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty good.
That's good.
And again, these are tournaments, so we don't know what that'll look like in the coming days, but those teams will all play each other, obviously.
Yeah. So we're going to have some headline games.
Oh, here's the Vegas one.
Yeah, here's the
Houston and
Vegas.
Alabama.
Ooh, good.
Oh,
That's
and
excellent.
now this is Terry's Chocolate Vegas show. So so
There's
this
two of
will
them.
be in Vegas, but it'll be at MGM Grand, and then this one it looks like just a one game Duke, Kansas, and
Oh, okay.
T-Mobile.
Isn't this the Houston, Alabama one? Isn't that the NIL thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Rutgers, Notre Dame.
Kind of a dog.
Let's look at Wednesday here. Well, these aren't as good. Well, Texas A&M, Creighton, a ranked matchup. Oh, that's Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's some good ones.
Davidson in Arizona. That's in the Bahamas.
Rutgers, Alabama. Notre
We're
Dame.
in that one with Arizona and Davidson.
Yeah, that's not going to be fun.
That's 3 losses probably.
Our house will have this one on for sure because all of our family's Arkansas fans. This is Thanksgiving. Arkansas, Illinois, and Kansas City.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good game.
You're very good.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. So it's heating up, but I don't get into it much until January when they start playing in the conference.
So here's the deal. When DeVito and Cooper Rush are playing, at least we'll have Arkansas, Illinois.
It's true.
So, all right, we got to go. We got to get
Yep.
out of here. This has been a long one. We got to go. Stuff to do. All right, guys. We'll be here all day. Who knows when, but we will be around. So keep just tuning in and keep looking for the YouTube notifications. We will be around. All right, guys. Thanks everybody for joining us, and we will see you next week on Wednesday. Right? We'll do Wednesday next week.
Sounds good.
Thursday's Thanksgiving. Definitely
Okay.
not doing it on Thursday. All right, guys. Thanks everybody for joining us, and we'll see you right back here next week.
This is due to